the 26th of July 1932, dark day fell upon the German Navy. The sail training ship Niobe capsized in a sudden squall off the island of Fehmarn in the Baltic Sea. 69 young men drowned. The loss shocked the nation and prompted immediate action. A new training vessel would be built, one safer and sturdier, to continue the tradition of seamanship. By December of that year, the Blohm & shipyard in Hamburg received the order. Work began on the 2nd of December 1932, and in a remarkable 100 days the hull was ready. On the 3rd of May 1933, before a crowd of 10,000, the elegant new barque was launched. She was christened Gorch Fock, after Johann Kinau, a low German poet who had written of the sea under that pen name. Kinau had perished in 1916 at the Battle of Jutland aboard SMS Wiesbaden. The new Gorch Fock was an impressive sight, 82 meters long, 12 meters wide, with 3 masts carrying 23 sails and nearly 1,800 square meters of canvas. Designed with over 300 tons of ballast in her keel, she could ride herself even if pushed nearly flat on her side. Commissioned into service on the 26th of June 1933, she became the floating classroom for generations of naval cadets. Cruises took her through the Baltic to Britain, Norway, Finland, and the Netherlands. When the Second World War began in 1939, her role shifted. No longer did she roam the seas under full sail. Instead, she became a barracks and office ship, first in Swinemünde, later in Kiel and Stralsund. On the 19th of April 1944, she was briefly reactivated, but by late April 1945, with the Red Army advancing, her fate was sealed. On the 30th of April 1945, Soviet tanks shelled her from across the Strelasund. The next day, the 1st of May, German crews scuttled her with explosives to keep her from capture. She sank in shallow water, her mast still standing above the waves. The story might have ended there, but in 1947, Soviet authorities ordered her salvage. The raising of the wreck, still with mast standing, was a remarkable feat. Repairs began in Wismar and Rostock between 1948 and 1950, and on the 15th of June 1951 she sailed again under a new name, Tovarish, Russian for comrade. Her new home port was Odessa, later Kherson on the Black Sea. As Tovarish, she sailed far and wide. In 1957, she circumnavigated the globe, even rounding Cape Horn. She became a proud competitor in tall ship regattas, winning the Operation Sail races of 1974 and 1976. For 4 decades, she trained thousands of Soviet cadets, covering hundreds of thousands of miles under the hammer and sickle. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Tovarish was transferred to Ukraine. She flew the Ukrainian flag, home-ported at Kherson, and for the first time welcomed Western trainees through the Tall Ship Friends Association. In 1992, she joined the Columbus Regatta to the United States, celebrating 500 years since Columbus's first voyage. But her condition was worsening, and Ukraine lacked the funds to maintain her. In 1995, she sailed to Newcastle upon Tyne, England, where repairs were promised but never realized. Declared unseaworthy, she was laid up in Middlesbrough in 1997, moved in Middlehaven docks. Ukrainian cadets continued to live aboard, but the vessel deteriorated year by year. In 1999, Tall Ship Friends Association arranged for her transfer to Wilhelmshaven, Germany, where she became a centerpiece of the Expo 2000 at sea. Enthusiasts dismantled tons of equipment in the hope of a grand restoration, but funds again ran out and her future seemed uncertain. At last, in 2003, salvation came. Tall Ship Friends acquired the ship from Ukraine. In September, she was transported aboard a heavy-lift dock ship back to Stralsund, the city that had once been her wartime berth. On the 29th of November 2003, amid great celebration, she was rechristened Gorch Fock, now with the suffix "I", to distinguish her from the new Gorch Fock II of 1958. Restoration efforts followed year by year. In 2004, her museum was established. By 2008, her underwater hull was refurbished. In 2009, her poop deck was renewed. In 2011, her captain's saloon and officers' quarters were carefully restored. Visitors began to walk her decks once more, discovering a living monument to Europe's maritime past. Yet, the challenges never ended. Maintenance of such a ship is costly. By 2011, her condition was again described as poor, with millions needed for a full return to sea. For years, she lay afloat but fragile. Her survival depended on donations and government support. At last, a breakthrough came. In 2022, the German federal government pledged €13.5 million for a major overhaul. The city of Stralsund agreed to take ownership in 2023, and by April 2024 the shipyard work was complete. Her hull and rigging were made safe, ensuring her survival for another generation. Interior restorations are now underway, with plans to create a barrier-free museum ship that may one day even sail again. The Gorch Fock was the first of a proud family of 5 sister ships built by Blom and Voss, and a number of South American school ships are also based on the same design. Her sisters included Horst Wessel, today the US Coast Guard's Eagle, Albert Leo Schlageter, now Portugal's Sagres, and Mircea from Romania, which is actually only an exact replica of Gorch Fock, while the other ships are 7 meters longer. Another was begun as Herbert Norcus, but never finished. And in 1958, the Federal Republic of Germany built a second Gorch Fock, which still sails today. But it is the original, the Gorch Fock I, that embodies the resilience of history. She was built from national grief, scuttled in war, raised by enemies, and reborn under 3 flags. Nearly a century since her launch, she remains afloat in Stralsund, a survivor, a teacher, and a symbol of the endurance of the great age of sail.